Banks versus a mortgage broker. Which one should you choose when it's time to get a loan to buy your house? Today I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should always use a mortgage broker for your mortgage. Buying a house is a huge decision, right? It's one of the biggest financial decisions most people will ever make in their lifetime. So the decision on who you use to obtain the funding to purchase your home is not something you should take lightly. Since the Dodd-Frank Act was passed a little over a decade ago, all financial institutions are heavily regulated. Whether you go to a bank or to a mortgage broker, all conforming loans have to go by federal regulations. Both banks and mortgage brokers can do Fannie Mae loans, federal loans, FHA loans, VA loans, etc. So what's the difference? Well, let's start with number 1. As a mortgage broker, I have way more options than most banks do. I can shop your loan to dozens of lenders, whether it's for a down payment assistance program or for a lender that accommodates folks with lower credit scores or certain types of income or self-employed, etc. Mortgage brokers have dozens of options of where they can shop your loan versus with a bank that might have only a few programs and they're really stringent. They're not gonna go out of their way to maybe try to qualify you for that program. It's either you qualify or you don't. Consequently, this allows me to be more competitive and offer you wholesale terms that may not be available with a big box retail bank. Number 2, speed and efficiency. These are key in today's market, especially here in my market in South Florida. Imagine you're looking to buy a house that is really hot, right? A lot of people are looking at this home. There are multiple offers. You put your offer in and you're fortunate enough to get accepted. They give you 30 days to close on this loan, right? Speed in this situation is critical. You have to be able to close when you say you're gonna close. And a lot of times, big banks, they just don't operate that way. It's common for me to get calls from home shoppers who say, I've been with my bank for about 2.5 months now trying to get my deal closed or trying to get my loan to get to the final approval stage, and I still haven't heard anything. They don't even know what's going on, and when they try to reach their loan officer, they don't get a call back. That's a call I get almost weekly. And I'm not trying to hammer on the big banks here, guys, but imagine being in contract on your dream home. You are 30 days in, you're 45 days in, and as the closing day is approaching, you get a call from the lender telling you they're not going to be able to move forward with the loan. Watch this video so you can see firsthand what I'm talking about.
Bob Atandi, a Kenyan immigrant turned Texas entrepreneur, knew this was his dream home the moment he saw it. It's in a highly sought-after school district that his son so desperately wanted to attend for its basketball program.
So how many homes did you look at before you found this one and said this was it?
We had about 6, but this was the one that we all wanted, and we were all praying to get this one.
Otandi's first choice for his mortgage was Navy Federal Credit Union. It services military members, defense personnel, veterans, and their families, and is the largest credit union in the country.
I was the CEO of my company, so I had a pretty good income.
Your credit was in the 700s.
Mm-hmm.
You'd recently sold your house.
Mm-hmm.
You had $100,000 for the down payment, which was more than 20%.
Correct. I mean, what more could we ask for?
CNN reviewed Otandi's financial documents. He even had a pre-approval letter from Navy Federal in hand. But just 2 weeks before closing,
I got a denial. They sent me a letter saying, "We're sorry, but your application has been denied."
Were you stunned, surprised?
I mean, I was stunned. I was shocked. I was hurt.
Something like this could be devastating. And why do things like this happen? Well, think about what a bank does. A bank doesn't just service mortgages. A bank is a financial institution that does checking accounts, savings accounts, right? They have lenders who may be trying to help someone get a car loan, right? Or open a CD or something like that. Now, a lot of big banks have mortgage departments, but you're dealing with all the bureaucracy that goes with that versus a mortgage loan originator like myself who only has one job. My job is to get you approved for your loan and close on your house. There are a lot of layers to purchasing a house and going through the mortgage approval process. When I gather all your information, I'm submitting it to an underwriter, and depending on how complete your file is, that underwriter will then come back to me with what's called conditions, right? Along the way, a week in, 2 weeks in, the underwriter may come back and say, listen, we've got to get a more updated pay stub, or we've got to go back and get proof of employment for a previous job from 2 years ago. All of these things are things that I gather and submit to the underwriting. I do all the legwork for you. You don't have to deal with a bank who you may or may not get a hold of. Once you give me all that documentation, it gets submitted, those conditions get satisfied, and I let you know about it. And in some cases, when you submit this information to a big bank, you don't know whether or not those conditions are satisfied. You don't have a direct contact to the underwriter that's handling your file. So in a lot of cases, I've heard clients tell me it's like they're flying blind. They don't know what the status of their loan is, and it can be frustrating, adding even more stress to the process of purchasing a home. If you're finding value in this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Send it to someone you think might find it useful. And number 3 is what I like to call the 3 C's: care, competence, and commission, right? And I'll explain. So what do I mean by care? You have to care about the people you're working with, right? This business, and I say this all the time, this business, the business of real estate, mortgages, helping people obtain financing to purchase their home, you have to care. It has to matter to you to bring that transaction from start to finish to the closing table. Here's a difference between me working with a mortgage loan originator like myself and working with a big bank. Whenever you pick up the phone, you're getting a hold of your lender. Try doing that with a big bank. It's not always as easy. Buying a house is not like buying a pair of shoes, and I understand that. I remember buying my first home 25 plus years ago and being lucky enough to have both the mortgage and the real estate broker be 2 guys that were so warm and so caring that as a young guy in my early 20s buying my first place, they knew that I didn't understand a lot of what I was doing, and they held my hand, so to speak, and walked me through the process. And that's what I do for the people that I work with. My clients need to feel like this guy has my back and he's gonna help me through the entire process. And then the next C is the competence part, right? And this is just as important as the care part, because I can't tell you how many deals I've seen fall apart because of the competence issue. And unfortunately, a lot of these big banks, they hire people who aren't as trained. They're not out there on the ground. They don't really understand. They're in an office somewhere just, taking paperwork, and they don't truly understand the implications of what it means to get someone's pay stub in on time to the underwriter to make sure that they're not in breach of contract, right? And they don't violate the terms of their contract and therefore end up losing the deal, or worse, losing thousands of dollars. Competence in explaining the intricacies of applying for a mortgage is critical, not only in making you feel more comfortable. I always tell my clients, I'm not just a mortgage lender, I am sometimes a therapist, I'm sometimes a motivational speaker, I'm all of the above, because the process of purchasing a home is like a roller coaster, right? There's constant ups and downs, and there are times where you feel like you're falling off a cliff. There are times where you feel great because your offer got accepted and we got a preliminary approval, but there are times where you need competence. And the last C is commission. Yes, getting paid. And a lot of big banks pay their loan officers a salary, right? Why is this important? Why am I telling you this? Because that is how I earn a living. Not only am I motivated to make sure that your deal makes it to closing, but if I don't get paid. Whereas at a big bank, you might have someone that's working on a salary that it really makes no difference to them either way, whether or not your deal closes. It's like, okay, you don't qualify and that's the end of the story, right? They move on to the next one, they're still gonna get paid. So that's a powerful motivator that makes us work harder for you. A lot of banks are trying to find a reason not to fund your deal, whereas with a mortgage broker, we're trying to find reasons to fund your deal, to get the deal closed. So to recap, number one, more flexibility and more options, right? We have more lenders to shop your deal to so we can be more competitive. Number two, more speed and efficiency, less bureaucracy to deal with, right? You pick up your phone, you call me, and you're talking to your lender. And number three, care, competence, and commission. Someone who genuinely cares about getting you to the closing table and getting you into your new home. The competence to catch something that may be a problem on your deal before it becomes a problem. Someone who's motivated to get your deal to the closing table because they only get paid when you're successful in purchasing your home. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave a comment below with some of your experiences applying for a loan or getting a mortgage. Talk to you soon.